Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more transfer rumours and gossip. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So lots to negotiate on this current video today. Going to give you the latest news about Bruno Fernandes. Also going to keep you up to date of what's going on with Milinkovic, Savic, and of course lots of other things to currently talk about. But we'll currently start with Bruno Fernandes. So we do know Bruno Fernandes transfer target to Manchester United does continue to persist. We do know for the entirety of the summer that Bruno Fernandes has been linked to move to Manchester United, but I do believe now, according to recent reports, we are becoming frustrated of the chase for Bruno Fernandes. And I do believe, I think it seems to be, Sporting Lisbon's valuation, that does seem to be, the stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes, making his proposed move to Manchester United. Obviously we're seeing glimpses of how good, Bruno Fernandes is yet again. Obviously, yesterday, Bruno Fernandes got a goal. He also got an assist in Sporting Lisbon's 2-2 draw with Liverpool in New York. Now, I do believe, Liverpool, of course, want Bruno Fernandes. So, quite a few teams have inquired about his current services. But Sporting Lisbon, do value him at around £70 million. I do believe, this is a figure that Manchester United are not willing to pay, because obviously, Solskjaer did confirm, we are not intending on overspending on our current transfer targets. And I do believe, we're only willing to pay up to around £50 million for, Bruno Fernandes. So we're only willing to pay £50 million. I think it did report quite recently saying we're orchestrating on putting a £50 million bid in, or we already have, put a £50 million bid in and that for the current player. Obviously, recently the boss of Sporting Lisbon's come out and he's hinted out that Bruno Fernandes, could leave Sporting Lisbon, but his future, still remains fully uncertain. And obviously, recently the Sporting Lisbon president, Fernandes, he did reveal, what fee Manchester United would have to pay to have any chances of signing Bruno Fernandes, and I think we will have to pay upwards of £56 million, or at least £56 million. So maybe we may have to pay in the excess of around £60 million to convince Sporting Lisbon to offload him, because I do believe Sporting Lisbon are coming to accept the fact that, Bruno Fernandes, does want to leave. Obviously, Sporting Lisbon are looking for an adequate replacement for him, but Sporting Lisbon's boss did admit it's going to be hard to find an adequate replacement for Bruno Fernandes. So I do believe, Bruno Fernandes wants to leave Sporting Lisbon, to rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level. I do believe, we've been emerged the favourites to sign Bruno Fernandes at least for the last 3 to 4 weeks. I do believe that yet again his agent quite recently, was in the UK to obviously, thrash out a deal with Manchester United. I do believe Bruno Fernandes' agent has also been in talks with Tottenham. So basically, Bruno Fernandes' agent is looking for the best possible deal for his client. Obviously, if Bruno Fernandes does make the move to Manchester United, I do believe he's set to earn around 100 grand a week, which does equate to around £5.5 million a year. But initially, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, I still believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is orchestrating on, bringing two new additions in that midfield. So the situation with Paul Pogba, is not having any effect on Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United. It's not having any effect on Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United. So basically, Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is not dependent on, what happens and that with Paul Pogba. There is still a possibility that Paul Pogba could remain at the football club. His future still remains uncertain at the moment, just like Romelu Lukaku's future, still remains uncertain and that at the moment. But Sporting Lisbon are basically playing hardball. They haven't been quite reliable, this summer. Obviously, going back a couple of months ago, they assured that Bruno Fernandes was going to be going to Manchester City, but obviously his move to Manchester City at that point, never materialised, because obviously Manchester City and that had withdrawn their current interest. With Tottenham, like I said, they've been in for Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Tottenham are in search for a midfielder. I do know they've signed 2 players so far this summer. Obviously, they played a club record fee for Tango Ndombele and all that. Did Tottenham. But obviously, Christian Eriksen's linked to move away from Tottenham, and obviously if Christian Eriksen leaves, obviously, Tottenham are currently, going to want a replacement for him. And obviously, I think Mauricio Pochettino's expectations, in the Premier League this season, probably will be to win a trophy with Tottenham. Obviously, he wants to win a trophy, does Pochettino, because obviously he hasn't won out in terms of silverware yet, so obviously hasn't proven himself yet in that aspect as Mauricio Pochettino. Tottenham did get to their first Champions League final, their first ever Champions League final last season. And obviously, before Tottenham signed Tango and Dembele and Jack Clark from Leeds. Obviously, they didn't do any transfer activity in the last couple of windows. So Mauricio Pochettino made it clear at the end of last season, of course, he does want back in this summer. So yeah, Tottenham have definitely been in there for Bruno Fernandes. I still believe Liverpool want him, of course. Obviously, I think he would fit Liverpool's system perfectly. But I think if Bruno Fernandes does leave Sporting Lisbon, I think he'll end up making a move to Manchester United, because I do believe his first choice preference is Manchester United. Recent reports have also indicated out saying that PSG have been in there for the player. So initially his release clause is around £88 million. Is Bruno Fernandes. Obviously Manchester United are not determined to go anywhere near that figure. He signed a 5-year contract with Sporting Lisbon last summer, so he is in the contract with them until 2023. So he signed this 5-year contract last summer. But I think he will produce the same element of the performances. If he does come to the Premier League, what he's proven, in his 2 years in Portugal with Sporting Lisbon. Because I think last season he scored 31 or 32 goals in all competitions, and I think if he came to Manchester United, he would rejuvenate the team. He would add depth in our midfield. He'd bring us them goals that we need in that midfield. I think his work ethic, and that's really, really good. And he did actually say quite recently, was it? Or it might have been last week, saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was not going to be backed for this particular signing, because he did actually say the board believe that he's too expensive, and the board have got concerns about spending quite a bit of money on a player that knows little about Champions League football. Obviously hasn't really got the experience of playing to the highest level yet. So initially said the other week that Ed Woodward had said no to Bruno Fernandes. I do believe, I'm very, very adamant that Ed Woodward has stayed in the UK to obviously oversee our transfer business rather than go on pre-season talks. Obviously Ed Woodward is working on currently getting deals done and all that. But yeah, Sporting Lisbon do value him at around £70 million. Obviously spent the majority of his career in Italy when he was younger. The likes of Sampdoria and Udinese and Novia. And of course, he's only had 24 years of age, so he's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit young players to Manchester United this summer that can grow, develop and emulate of course into superstars. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware of the speculation, because Solskjaer said he's not frustrated with the transfer activity. He said he's not frustrated if we don't. I don't think he's frustrated if we sign any more players in his current window. Obviously we've got 2 signings on the board so far. We paid £65 million for Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and we've seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far, because obviously they've started pre-season well. Obviously with Daniel James, he's got electrifying pace, primarily plays off the left, but we have put him on the right. But I think Daniel James is still a prospect, and I'll still say Daniel James needs time to develop. And with Wan-Bissaka, I do believe he's got all the ingredients required to become a huge success at Manchester United, and I do believe Wan-Bissaka can be our fullback for the next current decade. So we spent £65 million on them two. If you want to include the add-ons, you can say that mounts up to around £68 million. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to build on that, and I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's top priority will be to recommend an experienced centre half in. He'll also want to add the reinforcements in that midfield, and of course Manchester United are in search for a right winner. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he's looking to sign at least 1 or 2 more players before this window does currently shut, because I think it's now 2 weeks now remaining in this current transfer window. Like I said, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't get all the players that he currently wants, you can basically say that the board have let Ole Gunnar Solskjaer down, because the board did actually assure that they were going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that this summer. So if he doesn't get all the players he wants, you can say the board have let him down, because analysing our current squad as it stands at this present time, in my opinion, it isn't good enough, and it isn't competitive enough. I don't think it's good enough at the moment, so this is why we need a couple of players in. I say regardless of who our manager is, even if we have a manager to the highest level, I still think they find it very, very difficult they find it very, very difficult, of course, with this current squad. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, has recently, the other week, should I say, was talking about our ambitions, going on into the Premier League this season, and he believes we'll be aiming for further up than 4th. In my own opinion, I don't think we'll be challenging for the league this season. We may challenge, but I don't think we'll win the league this season. But I do believe in the Premier League this season we'll have a better season than what we saw last season, because last season was disappointing. We finished 6th, we failed to qualify for the Champions League, and of course we didn't win many silverware, but we haven't won any silverware in the past couple of seasons. But I do believe this season there will be vast improvements in Manchester United. I probably believe we'll finish maybe in the top 4, maybe in the top 3, but I just don't think we'll win the league, because obviously analysing at the moment, City is strides ahead of us, Liverpool are strides ahead of us, and I initially said our expectations will be at least that top 4. Obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got to exceed these expectations, obviously to keep him at Manchester United, and I am very, very confident that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will exceed exceed expectations at Manchester. I initially said that our aspirations will be at that top four in the next couple of seasons, but it's all dependent on whether we can get a couple of more signings in before this window does shut. I do believe if we do sign any more players, I think we'll probably sign another 1 or 2 more. I don't think we'll sign 3 or 4 players in the space of 2 weeks. Even though positive news has been coming out quite recently in regards to Nicolas Pepe, obviously Milinkovic, Savic, and you got Bruno Fernandes and all that. But I don't think we'll sign 3 or 4 players, within the space of currently 2 weeks and all that. But like I said, we've got to be more competitive in this window, because analysing the last couple of windows, we haven't been competitive enough. We didn't get anyone in January. Obviously, we didn't get as number 1 targets last summer. So yeah, we have currently got to get our number 1 targets. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recently, was talking about our recruitment policy. But I do believe, we are moving away from the policy of signing them well-established players. And I think people have indicated out, that we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, spoken to the vast majority of our players this summer, and he's very, very adamant that Manchester United, don't need to sell players, like he did say before. And he says that there's been lots of speculation about players coming in and players going out, of course, over the summer. But I believe we need to sell players anyway, to help us generate funds and rebuild the squad. Obviously, we've seen 3 players depart the football club, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in. But I do believe we definitely need to sell players. But with Bruno Fernandes, like I said, 24 years of age, I'm actually, becoming frustrated, about, Bruno Fernandes and all that. I do want him at Manchester United, because I think he's actually, primarily an attacking midfielder, is Bruno Fernandes. But I think Sporting Lisbon's valuation, does seem to be the stumbling block. So I think we have now made our first formal offer for him, or we're all preparing to make our first formal offer for him. But reportedly, £50 million is too insufficient for Sporting Lisbon. So yeah. So, with the news about Milinkovic, Savic, as they have been updating you on a regular basis. Now, I do believe we have prioritised signing Milinkovic, Savic over Bruno Fernandes. Now, I do believe that Manchester United are reportedly close to signing Milinkovic, Savic. Now, actually, I think Milinkovic, Savic had told Lazio players. He told Lazio players that he will leave Lazio this summer. According to recent reports from the Italian press, well, it came from an Italian outlet, that's where it was stemming from. I think it was Repubblica. They said Manchester United are closing in on signing Milinkovic, Savic from Lazio. Reportedly, it said a fee had been agreed. It also said a contract had been agreed. So reportedly, we're set to sign him for around €75 million, which equates to around just over 67 million in pounds sterling. And I think there's also various bonuses included in the deal. And reportedly, it says Milinkovic, Savic has agreed a 5-year deal with Manchester United. So that will take him under contract until 2024. Reportedly, I think he's set to earn around €6 million a year. I think it did say recently in the media. So reportedly, he could be our third signing this summer. Could Milinkovic, Savic. But obviously, we've identified him as our number 1 target. To actually replace Paul Pogba at the football club. But I do believe Milinkovic, Savic's move to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. So if we can sell Paul Pogba, then I do believe Milinkovic, Savic, will make the move to Manchester United. So he does want to leave Lazio. I think Lazio themselves have agreed to currently sell the player. Obviously, Manchester United have been relentlessly linked with him. Obviously, was also linked with him last summer. But I do believe last summer Lazio did want around £108 million for the player. So initially, Lazio have lowered their asking price. But reports were coming out about this the other week, and it was stemming from Sky in Italy. And it did initially say Manchester United had submitted around a £72 million bid. Obviously, at that point, that was too insufficient for Lazio the other week, because Lazio said the other week, well, it confirmed from Lazio president that Lazio wanted around £90 million. But yeah, this was coming from Sky in Italy the other week. But reportedly now, Lazio have lowered their initial asking price, and it did say they will accept offers within the region of around £70 million. So do you believe Milinkovic, Savic would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba? Obviously, he's 24 years of age. He's Serbian. Obviously, he spent 4 years with Lazio. I think he scored 22 goals in 125 games for them, and I think he scored 31 goals in 138 games for Lazio in all competitions, but 22 goals in 125 games in the Serie B. of course. And I think he has proven in the majority of his 4 years with Lazio that he can score goals, he can create chances, his tenacity is good, and technically he's a very good footballer. But I think in the last 5 or 6 months, he has been a bit inconsistent as Milinkovic, Savic. But reportedly, we're set to get him for around 67 million in pounds sterling and all that. But there is, I think, add-ons included in the deal, so that could potentially rise it to just over £71 million, because I think the add-ons are around 4.4 million, something like that. But it did get confirmed the other week that Manchester United had been in talks with Lazio over getting a deal finalised for Milinkovic Savic, and it also said the other week that Milinkovic Savic's agent had travelled to the UK. So I do believe also Manchester United have made negotiations with his current agent. But like I said, 24 years of age, only signed a new deal with Lazio last October, so he's under contract with them until 2023. I do believe he can play as an attacking midfielder. I think he can also play as a box-to-box midfielder. I think he's also operated as a defensive midfielder. Hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, Milinkovic Savic, but do you think he'd have all the attributes to come and succeed in the Premier League? So recent reports have indicated now it's looking like he could be our third signing this summer. So we've already got Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka for £65 million. Say we get Milinkovic Savic for around £70 million, something like that. That's around £145 million spent this summer. So reportedly now we've identified him as our priority target to replace Paul Pogba at the football club. But yeah, obviously more things we'll definitely update about Milinkovic Savic. Obviously, as I've been updating you on a regular basis, and in regard to Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, now I'm going to give you a bit more additional information about him. Steve Bruce, who's obviously recently just been appointed as Newcastle's new manager. Obviously, following the dismissal of Rafael Benitez, because obviously he did resign, was it last month? Rafael Benitez. So obviously, Steve Bruce now is obviously coming here to replace him. So Steve Bruce has had his say on the speculation, linking Sean Longstaff with a move to Manchester United, and Steve Bruce has basically said that he believes Sean Longstaff's future lies with Newcastle, and he's very adamant, is Steve Bruce, that Sean Longstaff will not leave Newcastle United. So he's basically rubbished him joining Manchester United as Steve Bruce. Obviously we do know Manchester United have been heavily linked with Sean Longstaff. I think we did initially say we are orchestrating on putting around the £30 million bidding for the player. Obviously this is probably not going to be enough anyway to convince Newcastle to offload him, because obviously Newcastle have indicated out if they are willing to sell the player, they do want in the excess of at least £50 million. But Newcastle have initially indicated out that he's not currently for sale. Obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer instructed Manchester United to get a transfer prioritised for Sean Longstaff a couple of weeks ago, because he has been on our agenda for quite some time. We have not yet put any official bidding yet. We've not yet made any official bid yet for Sean Longstaff, but he says reportedly we are preparing to put around the £30 million bidding for him. Obviously we only value him from between 18 to 20 million pounds. So basically Newcastle are demanding more than double this. I do believe Manchester United have been in talks with Newcastle for quite some time now. We have been in talks with Newcastle for quite some time. It said we've held high level talks with Newcastle about Sean Longstaff, but obviously Newcastle are remaining ruthless over the current player, and they are basically reluctant to currently offload him. But I'm very sceptical that Manchester United will pay up to £50 million for his services, because I do believe that's an extortionate amount of Sean Longstaff's of a player of Sean Longstaff's calibre and level. I think it's a reasonable figure in this market, this day and age, but not for Sean Longstaff, because Sean Longstaff, I'd still say it's similar to what I think about Daniel James. I still say Sean Longstaff still needs time to develop. I say he's still a prospect. He needs time to develop. He's only got a bit of experience under his belt as Sean Longstaff. Don't forget, obviously he only made his debut for Newcastle in December of last year, and to be fair, in the second half of last season Sean Longstaff did really well. I think he thrived under Rafael Benitez's guidance. I think he did play around 13 games in all competitions for Newcastle last season, did Sean Longstaff. I think reflecting on his impressive performances, he's been given a new contract with Newcastle until 2022, so he initially signed a 4-year contract. Obviously he sustained a knee ligament injury back in March, did Sean Longstaff, so he didn't play the last couple of months of last season. If I'm right now, I do believe he has now recovered from this injury as Sean Longstaff, but only 21 years of age, primarily a central midfielder, so mainly a box-to-box midfielder, but mainly a box-to-box midfielder. Also he's British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talent to Manchester United this summer. But I do believe Newcastle want around £50 million. But yeah, like I said, we're not intending on overspending on our transfer targets, because he's not worth £50 million, Sean Longstaff. Maybe in this market this day and age, £25 or £30 million would be reasonable for Sean Longstaff, but I'd say over that mark, Newcastle are basically, asking for too much. Obviously, Newcastle, don't forget, have already lost Perez, but Steve Bruce very, very adamant, of course, that Sean Longstaff will not leave. Initially, Sean Longstaff began his career with Newcastle. He was a product of their academy. I think he also had a loan spell with Blackpool. I think he also had a loan spell in Kilmarnock, in Scotland, and all that. But yeah, there's still the rumours going on about Sean Longstaff, and I think Ed Woodward is keen on getting a deal concluded for Sean Longstaff from Newcastle. But he's been linked with Manchester United down there for quite some time. I think we've been given an initial boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff following the departure of Rafa Benitez, because I think maybe Sean Longstaff himself, was keen on staying with Newcastle under Rafa Benitez's guidance at the time, because I think he was keen on continuing his developing process under Rafa Benitez. But I think since Rafa Benitez has left, there's been a bit of change of scenery. Maybe Sean Longstaff maybe wants to leave Newcastle himself. But obviously, I don't know if he wants to leave or not. But Steve Bruce is very, very adamant. He will not, couldn't leave Newcastle. So yeah, there's still talks anyway, going on about Sean Longstaff. So there has been a lot of midfielders on our current agenda. So you can still see the deficiencies in the squad, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to build a squad, with the club's mystery. So. Yeah, still, we definitely need an experienced centre-half. We need a couple of new additions in that midfield. We need a right winner, So, and obviously, if Lukaku leaves the football club, obviously, we are going to need a replacement for him. So, yeah, like I said, guys, still lots to address in the squad. But we've got to hurry up now about this current business. But with Paul Pogba, like I said, his future, still remains uncertain at Manchester United, Paul Pogba's. Now, obviously, Paul Pogba did confirm, was it just over a month or so ago now, that he's seeking for a new challenge. And he publicly admitted, that he wants to leave Manchester United, for the first time. And he even did say over a month or so ago now, he was even willing to go on strike at one point to force his move away from Manchester United. And obviously, he was orchestrating on, putting a transfer request in. So, we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer quite lately, well, we know he's spoken to the vast majority of the players this summer, but quite lately, he's been speaking a lot about Paul Pogba, and he's also spoken to Paul Pogba himself in regards to his long-term future. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player Paul Pogba is. He knows how much of an imperative player that he is, and he still probably believes, Solskjaer, that Paul Pogba is the long-term solution for Manchester United, because he has, to be fair, started pre-season really well. Obviously, we saw glimpses of his best form mainly in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. That's when we mainly saw the best Paul Pogba. His performances in last season, obviously in the last 6-7 games of last season, I thought Paul Pogba's performances, were below par and all that. But I think he has started pre-season, really, really well. Obviously, we're very adamant that Paul Pogba's not for sale anywhere. He said we would accept a bid in the region of around £150 million. Reports actually said the other week that we'd initially risen our asking price. Now it says reportedly, want around. Well, it said we wanted around £180 million. So obviously that's double than what we initially paid from Juventus back in 2016. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says, Manchester United can rebuild around Paul Pogba. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said Paul Pogba does not need to leave the football club, to fulfil his ambitions. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was recently said about Paul Pogba. He said he's a fantastic player. He also said he's got the heart of gold. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does know how much of an imperative player he is. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is working on keeping his imperative players at the football club. But Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, he's obviously aware of the speculation, because he's been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club for the last 2 to 3 months at least. Because for the majority of the summer, or should I say the entirety of the summer, Paul Pogba's been relentlessly linked to move away from the football club. But Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, he came out quite a few weeks back now, and he said that Paul Pogba is in the process of leaving the football club and all that. But we do know Paul Pogba has obviously been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. We also do know that Juventus have been in there for Paul Pogba. But I do believe for quite some time that Paul Pogba's first choice preference has been Real Madrid. His first choice preference has been Real Madrid, and his likely destination, of course, has been Real Madrid. Because I do believe Paul Pogba is eager, to play under Zinedine Zidane's guidance, of course. And obviously, and his likely destination has been Real Madrid for quite some time. But also, we do know that Juventus have been in there for Paul Pogba. I did say with Juventus, they've done good business this summer of Juventus. Obviously, they got Ronaldo last summer. They just recently got De Ligt on the board this summer. They got Adrian Rabiot. They got Aaron Ramsey. So more than likely, Juventus would have to offload a couple of their players, to fund the move for Paul Pogba. To fund the move. So they'd not offload a couple of their essential players to fund the move for Paul Pogba, because I just don't think, they'd be able to afford him outright. Don't forget, Paul Pogba, did have 4 good years in Turin. Obviously, he hasn't really replicated this since he did make the return to Manchester United and all that. But I do believe Juventus Juventus have got other midfield targets on their agenda, so maybe now they're not so interested now in Paul Pogba. But with Real Madrid, obviously, they're not willing to pay what we're currently demanding. So I do believe our valuation, does seem to be the stumbling block of Paul Pogba making his proposed move to Real Madrid or Juventus. Because obviously, we've put extortionate amounts on Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku, and this seems to be the stumbling block of both players making their proposed moves away from the football club and all that. But I did say if we sell Paul Pogba and Lukaku, it will help us with our rebuilding process. It'll also help us with our transition. Of course, if we do sell Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still knows how imperative they are. Because if we sold Paul Pogba and Lukaku, we could generate around what? Oh, definitely over £150 million, for the departures of them two current players. But with Real Madrid, they're not willing to pay, like I said, up to £150 million. I do believe that, Man United and Real Madrid have both been in talks over the sale of Paul Pogba, but we're very, very adamant. I want around £150 million. Real Madrid, of course, are not willing to pay this. So I think Real Madrid are working on, trying to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that current 150 million valuation or that 160 million valuation. I think Real Madrid are desperate, to offload Gareth Bale. Also, looking to offload James Rodriguez, to obviously, help them generate funds. Because obviously Real Madrid themselves this summer have obviously, they've spent what £300 million on 5 players. Obviously, I think the vast majority of that, of course, went on Eden Hazard. I think they got Eden Hazard for around £150 million, but I think they got, who did they get? Real Madrid, they got Luka Jovic, they got Eden Hazard. This is who they've signed this summer: Luka Jovic, Eden Hazard, Edin Militao. Didn't they sign Rodrigo as well, if I'm currently right. And I think they also signed someone else, Real Madrid, but I can't remember. But yeah, they have signed 5 players this summer. So so Real Madrid will not be looking to spend another £150 million on Paul Pogba. I do believe also Real Madrid are still in there for Christian Eriksen, but obviously their priority target, of course, is Paul Pogba. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did recently say, he has revealed that he has considered Paul Pogba for the captaincy at Manchester United, next season. Probably, in a bid, to convince him to remain at the football club. And he did initially say as well, we was willing to open contract talks with Paul Pogba, to try and get him a new contract at the football club again, to try and convince him to remain at the football club. Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his current deal with Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year. And of course, he's on around 290 grand a week. Is Paul Pogba, so he's one of the highest paid players at the club, and obviously he's our most expensive signing. But obviously, like I said, we paid £89 million for the current player. But obviously, Paul Pogba was subject to a lot of transfer speculation last year, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. And obviously, Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho left the football club. Obviously, he got one of his best wishes when Mourinho left the football club, and I think there was talks about him going to Juventus last year. There was also talks about him going to Barcelona back in January, Paul Pogba. But yeah, he has been subjected to a hell of a lot of transfer speculation. But Paul Pogba's future, of course, still remains uncertain. At this moment. Paul Pogba, obviously, since he rejoined the club in 2016, I think he scored 31 goals in 135 games for the club. Obviously, last season his stats were very impressive, because last season I think he scored 16 goals and provided 11 assists in 47 games in all competitions last season. So he's still regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world, is Paul Pogba. But like I said, maybe the couple of main factors why he does want to leave the football club, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, and he feels as though he isn't playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he's frustrated with the lack of competitiveness at Manchester United, and maybe this is a couple of main factors why he wants to leave the club, and maybe he wants to be in Champions League football, Paul Pogba. But I believe, based on the extortionate amount we've put on him, this means he could still remain at Manchester United, could Paul Pogba. So like I did say about Milinkovic, Savic, he's moved to Manchester United. He's probably dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba and all that. So yeah. And I do believe, we should be selling the likes of Darmian and Rojo. I think we should sell them too as well, because obviously, they've both endured difficult times at Manchester United, with Matteo Darmian and Marcus Rojo. I do believe with Darmian and Rojo, we can generate around, maybe 30 or 35 million pounds for their departures. Obviously, we've put, I think, a 20 million pound price tag on Rojo. No team has come up with an offer yet for Rojo. But like I said, both players have endured difficult times at Manchester United, and mainly they've endured difficult times, because obviously Darmian hasn't really been given a chance, and obviously Rojo, his Manchester United career has been mainly affected with the amount of injuries and that he's currently sustained. So I do believe we need to offload them. Like I said, 3 players have left in Solskjaer's coming. Valencia left after he served 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously he was on serving player with the club. Obviously Ander Herrera left on a free transfer, which I was disappointed about, and of course Fellaini left back in the January transfer window. But analysing our midfield,
Paul probably brings that creativeness in that midfield without a shadow of a doubt. But we've got the likes of Matic. He's too slow in that midfield. He's too ineffective. I think he's also started pre-season really, really bad. And I think Matic needs to leave the football club. Obviously, we know he's not gonna, but I think he needs to leave the football club. We've got the likes of McTominay. I think McTominay, to be fair, I think he needs time to develop more McTominay, and I think he will improve McTominay. To be quite honest with you, I still believe he's inexperienced at the moment, but obviously with these games in pre-season, that he's going to get more experience and that under his belt is McTominay. So yeah, I think McTominay is fine. You've got Fred. So in my opinion, I'm still very sceptical about Fred because I'm very sceptical about Fred because I know Fred did well towards the back end of last season. He did well in the game against Inter Milan, when he came on in the second half. But I'm still very sceptical about Fred if he is the long-term solution for Manchester United. I do believe we overpaid for Fred. We paid what, £50 million for him. So I do believe we overpaid for him because he hasn't got a fantastic pedigree. Fred, let's be honest. He did well at Shakhtar Donetsk. He hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United. But to be fair to Fred, he never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. But since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been recommended, obviously he's been given the chance under Solskjaer. But Solskjaer said anyway when he came in, he was going to give everybody the chance. The young players, the fringe players, the experienced players, which he has currently done, and he'll do the same. This in the Premier League this season. I should presume. So yeah, Fred, deserves a current chance. Andres Pereira, of course, is one of our fringe players. He'll definitely get more opportunities. But yeah, like I said, we've definitely got to strengthen up in that midfield. Obviously with Sanchez, I believe he will get his chance as well. I said we need to basically get rid of Alexis Sanchez, and for the majority of the summer, we've been working on trying to get rid of Sanchez. But obviously, we found it very difficult to offload Sanchez. Obviously, reflecting on his substantial wages. This is why we found it hard, to get rid of Sanchez. So I think we've just got to accept the fact that he's going to remain at the football club. This season is Sanchez, but hopefully he can improve because he's room for improvement. He always is room for improvement. I know Sanchez has been inconsistent since he joined in January 2018. Obviously, he's been very inconsistent. He's lacked goals and he has been a huge disappointment. But at least give him another season, to see how he does. Progress like Sanchez. Yeah, but I do believe players do need to leave the football club without a shadow of a doubt. But like I did currently say, about Gareth Bale, like I said about him, Real Madrid obviously, want to include Gareth Bale in their bid, to currently sign Paul Pogba. And I gave you the news about Bale the other day, didn't I? And I don't think nothing much more was updated, since I last read up about Gareth Bale. But I will read up a bit more about Bale. I'm very sceptical that he'll come to Manchester United. I don't think he'll come to Manchester United anywhere. Reports came out a couple of days ago saying that reportedly he'd agreed to go play in the Chinese Super League. Can't remember the team's name, but it said reportedly he'd been offered £1 million a week, to go play in the Chinese Super League, and that would be a huge pay rise on his, wages, because obviously he's on around 600. I think he's on around 600 odd grand a week. Real Madrid. Is Gareth Bale. There's also been talks about him making a move back to Tottenham, but I think Zinedine Zidane has actually confirmed that Gareth Bale is going to be leaving Real Madrid. Well, he said he's very close to leaving Real Madrid, and Gareth Bale's agent, become infuriated about this. Is it Jonathan Bannett or something like that? He said, Zinedine Zidane's a disgrace, but he's indicated out that Gareth Bale anyway has got no intentions of leaving Real Madrid. But I just don't think he'll come to Manchester United. And either way, I don't want him in Manchester United anyway, because he just turned 30 years of age as Gareth Bale. This month he's just turned 30 years of age. He's injury prone. Like I said, despite the fact that he's injury prone, his ratio's still good. He's scored. He's played 231 games. He scored 102 goals in 231 games for Real Madrid in all competitions. He's created around 65 assists. So to be fair to Bale, his stats have been very impressive, and he has been at Real Madrid 6 years, and he's been inconsistent in the last couple of seasons. He's still got 3 years left on his contract with Real Madrid. I think the only way we would recommend Bale is if we actually got him on like a long season loan, with maybe then the option to buy him at the end of the loan. But Manchester United wouldn't want to get him on a permanent deal anywhere, probably due to his fitness regime and all that. So I do believe that there's better options out there than Gareth Bale. So yeah, Real Madrid did say they want to include Gareth Bale in their bid to sign Paul Pogba. And as I have been updating you on a regular basis in regards to Harry Maguire from Leicester. Now, I do believe, Leicester have said, well, some reports have actually, allegedly saying now that Leicester want £90 million for Harry Maguire. Now, if this is the case, I do believe Manchester United, will pull out of the race for Harry Maguire, because I'm very sceptical, that Manchester United, will pay up to £90 million for his services, because Harry Maguire is not worth £90 million, because for that price, you could probably get, Koulibaly from Napoli, for for that current price. And obviously, Koulibaly is better than Harry Maguire. So £90 million is an extortionate amount, for Harry Maguire. But looking at it, ultimately, Leicester don't want to sell Harry Maguire, or they're not in any rush to sell Harry Maguire, and this is why they're demanding an extortionate amount. This is why, of course, they have priced him out of the transfer market. But obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified Harry Maguire as his number one defensive target. So Leicester reportedly now are playing hardball because some reports said they wanted in the excess of 80 million, and I think some reports have said, they value Harry Maguire at around 90 million pounds. I think maybe Manchester United are happy to pay up to 80 million pounds for the player. Some people say that's quite reasonable in this market this day and age, but over the 80 million pound mark, we do believe that Leicester are basically asking for too much. But Brendan Rodgers himself, has spoken about the speculation linking Harry Maguire with a move to Man United or Man City, and his overarching view is he said if Man United and Manchester City want to get a deal over the line for him, we've got to basically hurry up about the business. But I do believe Leicester City's valuation has seen to be the stumbling block of Harry Maguire making his proposed move to Man United or Manchester City, because of course Man United and Man City are not willing to pay what Leicester are currently demanding. Obviously, reflected back a couple of weeks ago, it was looking like the Manchester City were going to get Harry Maguire. City orchestrated on paying him around 280 grand a week. Obviously, City were going to get him for a world record fee of £80 million, and City were seeing him as replacing for Vincent Kompany. I do believe Harry Maguire's first choice preference was Manchester City ahead of Manchester United, but City, I think it did initially say they pulled out of the race because City are all willing to pay in the excess around £65 million for Harry Maguire. But so I do believe we're still in pole position to currently sign the player, because obviously Harry Maguire is obviously he informed Brendan Rodgers and his Leicester teammates the other week that of course he does want to leave Leicester to rejuvenate his career and of course take his footballing career to the next level. But Leicester did make it clear they'll only let him join Man United or Man City as long as we're willing to pay what Leicester are demanding, which is obviously a world record fee, or should I say over a world record fee, because some reports say they want around £90 million. Obviously, the most expensive central defender in the world at the moment is obviously Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk, who of course Liverpool paid £75 million for. Liverpool paid £75 million for, and you can't put Harry Maguire and Virgil van Dijk calibre or level. Because Virgil van Dijk, I believe, is the best centre half in the world, and I do believe Harry Maguire, would still be a good signing for Manchester United. I do believe he'd blend in alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, really, really well. Because obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to put Harry Maguire alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, but we do need a central defender. I think we need at least one central defender, because analysing it, we haven't had a world class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic and Fernandes. We've had issues defensively for several years, and obviously, last season that was proven because we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games. So, Harry Maguire's transfer saga to Manchester United or Manchester City, does continue to persist. But I actually, said on Sunday, at the end of last weekend, it basically said that Manchester United had agreed a deal with Leicester for Harry Maguire, and it said reportedly the fee was around £80 million, which is obviously a world record fee for the defender. And it initially said on Sunday we'd pay £70 million up front, over 10 million in add-ons, probably based on how he performs at Old Trafford, which does potentially rise it to around £80 million. And it did initially say Harry Maguire, if he's moved to Manchester United, does materialise, he wants to become a captain of Manchester United, and does Harry Maguire. But I think Harry Maguire is becoming infuriated himself, with Leicester, pricing him out of a move, to Manchester United or Manchester City. But like I said, with Harry Maguire, obviously very, very good central defender, only 26 years of age. Obviously, has still got a lot of years ahead of him. Obviously, he's well Premier League proven, which is also very beneficial for Manchester United. Obviously, he's been at Leicester 2 years. Obviously, he's made 76 appearances for them in all competitions. 69 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. Obviously, he signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer, so he is under contract with them until 2023. But I think, we've been relentlessly linked with Harry Maguire, because reflecting back last summer, our priority, of course, was to recommend a central defender in. But obviously, reflecting back last summer, the board weren't backing the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend to the football club, and one of the players Mourinho wanted last summer was Harry Maguire, but obviously never currently materialised. But obviously, like I said, if we can get Harry Maguire, we can also offer him more money than what he's currently on at Leicester at the moment, and obviously he's going to a much better club if he comes to Man United or Manchester City than currently Leicester. But like I said, I think the valuation does seem to be a stumbling block. Leicester paid around £17 million for his service from Hull City a couple of years ago, because he's been at Leicester 2 years. I do believe we was also tracking Harry Maguire, when he was a youngster at Sheffield United, because obviously he began his career with Sheffield United, did Harry Maguire. But yeah, very, very good central defender. But I just don't think, we're willing to pay £90 million for the player. So if he's our third signing this summer, which I don't think he may not be now, because obviously there's the recent reports being coming out about Milinkovic Savic, it would take our spending to around, £148 million if Harry Maguire, of course, was our third signing this summer. But like I said, there's been a lot of central defenders on our agenda, as you all know. Obviously, De Ligt was on our agenda at one point, but obviously now De Ligt's out of the equation because he's gone to Juventus. Obviously, there's still people talking about Toby Alderweireld from Tottenham, and looking at, Toby Alderweireld is a much cheaper solution than Harry Maguire, and recent reports have indicated out now saying that Alderweireld actually could stay at Tottenham. But Manchester United were also in for Alderweireld last summer, and we do know his initial release clause is around £25 million. And based on his, based on that, he's well Premier League proven that would be beneficial for Manchester United. I still believe Alderweireld would be a good upgrade in our defence. I don't think he's as good as Harry Maguire, but he's still a much cheaper solution than Harry Maguire. He's more experienced than Harry Maguire because obviously he's 30 or 31 years of age now. He's Toby Alderweireld because obviously he's aging up, but obviously Harry Maguire, of course, has still got a hell of a lot of more development in him. But I know that Harry Maguire is not worth £90 million. But we need a world-class central defender, and last summer, we was willing to break the bank for a central defender. I think we was willing to pay around £100 million for a central defender. At one point, Rafael Varane was on our agenda, but obviously it's confirmed now he's staying at Real Madrid. There's still reports saying that we're seeing Koulibaly as an alternative to Harry Maguire if we don't get the deal over the line for Harry Maguire. Koulibaly will cost more than Harry Maguire, I should presume. Maybe not a lot more, but maybe just a bit more, should I say. But I think the only way we get Koulibaly is if we was willing to pay silly amounts of money for him, which probably would be worth it. But I think anyway, Napoli are reluctant to offload Koulibaly, so I don't see Koulibaly, to Manchester United happening. Not this summer anywhere. But like I said, there's been a lot of central defenders on our current agenda. But like I did say, Manchester United come up against Tottenham today. Obviously, it's our fourth game in pre-season. Obviously, it's in Shanghai, China. I think it is venued at the Hongkou Stadium. Like I said, fourth game of pre-season. We've had a great start to pre-season so far. We've won 3 games out of 3. Obviously, 7 goals scored, no goals conceded. And I think, the young players have really stepped up. So we've seen glimpses of how good, they've proven to be so far in pre-season. The young players, I think Chon's done really, really well, but he's still inexperienced. I think Greenwood's done fantastically well. Greenwood, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has assured him more playing time in the Premier League this season, so Greenwood's going to get promoted into the first team, which is absolutely fantastic news. And Greenwood is only 17 years of age. He scored 30 goals in 29 appearances last season for the Manchester United reserve team. But yeah, I think Mason Greenwood, will exceed at Manchester United. He will succeed, and I think he'll deliver the goods to Manchester United. If I'm going to be quite honest with you, Greenwood's done well. I think Chon's done well. Like I said, I think McTominay's done quite well. Pereira's done quite well. Malik Tuanzebe looked good against Inter Milan alongside Lindelof in our back line. And I think the majority of the young players have done really, really well so far. Like I said, Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka have been very, very impressive in pre-season. I think, like I said, not the youngsters now, more of the experienced players. So I think Pogba's done well in pre-season so far. Pogba's done really, really well in pre-season so far. I think Matic has been a disappointment. I thought Mata did well against Inter Milan, but I thought it was disappointing them against Leeds. Well, Rashford, he's a youngster. Obviously, he's got the experience, but I still think, he hasn't emulated to that level as yet. But I think Rashford started pre-season fantastically well. Rashford was poor, in the last couple of months of last season. He was really poor, but I think he started pre-season fantastic. I think Martial's, has done really, really well. So yeah, I think the majority of the players have done really, really well. Obviously, we saw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference yesterday, as I did give him my reaction on that. Obviously, he's confirmed that Lindelof will be fine because he came off injured against Inter Milan with a knock, but I think he's fine. I think Chong's fine because he also came off with a knock against Inter Milan. And we've got news about Lukaku, as you all know. Obviously, Lukaku's not going to be playing here today, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did confirm. I think Solskjaer did say that Lukaku's been working with physios in the last couple of days. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still said that, that Lukaku is not fit enough to play. And Lukaku has not yet, made an appearance on tour. But there's quite a few players that haven't made an appearance on tour as yet. Lukaku hasn't, Sanchez hasn't, because I think Sanchez has been injured. I do believe Demetri Mitchell's been injured as well. Fosu Mentu's been injured. I don't think yet Dean Ensign's made an appearance on tour. So there's quite a few that haven't made an appearance on tour. But I think we've had a really good start to pre-season. I'm going to be quite honest with you. There's 3 games remaining now in pre-season, including the game today. So we've got Tottenham today at 12:30, kick-off in the UK. Then obviously we'll play Kristiansund. I think that's in Norway, which is where originally Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's from. And our last pre-season game is against AC Milan, and I do believe that's in Cardiff. I'm not too sure after today's game whether we travel back to the UK or we travel straight from China to Norway. I'm not too sure about that. But we do know David De Gea's contract anyway is expected to be announced when we do return from our pre-season tour. It could actually be announced when we do return when we travel away from China. It actually could be announced. So if we go back to UK from China, then I do believe David De Gea's contract will be announced. If we go straight from to Norway from China, then it may not be currently announced until after these pre-season games. So I'm happy with the news about De Gea. He's going to be signing a 6-year contract with Manchester United, which is very good. He's agreed a 6-year deal worth £117 million over 6 years. Obviously, he's set to earn £375,000 a week. So obviously, it's going to make him the highest paid goalkeeper in world football. So yeah, very happy about the news about David De Gea. So he's going to be staying at Manchester United. With Lukaku, like I said, I've already given you the news about him, being linked to a move to Inter Milan. Obviously, recent reports have said now we have put a deadline on Lukaku, or we are orchestrating on putting a deadline on Lukaku's transfer to Inter Milan. So we're going to give Inter Milan a certain amount of time to meet our £75 million valuation for Lukaku. But Lukaku's blatantly made it clear, he does want to leave the football club. But like I said, I do. Hopefully, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can get Manchester United back to glory. Obviously, he's got a bit of experience as a manager. He proven himself as interim manager in his first 3 months at Manchester United. He won a couple of Norwegian titles there with Mold, so he did, quite well with Mold. He didn't do so good at Cardiff. He had a short tenure with Cardiff, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years under Alex Ferguson. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance. I do believe now, at this moment in time, he's following Alex Ferguson's philosophy. He believes he's following a policy that proved successful under Alex Ferguson. But like I did say, we've been a toxic club, for a number of years now. For the last 5 or 6 years, should I say, we've been a toxic club. A hell of a lot of money's been invested into the football club. We've had different managers with different philosophies, and 3 managers have been sacked, since Alex Ferguson retired. And I hope it works out under Solskjaer, because 1, I love him. He knows the club inside out, and 2, we haven't got the structure to keep sacking our managers and all that. So like I said, we'll see in this 2 weeks now, who we can bring in. Like I said, I'll be disappointed if we don't get anyone else in this 2 weeks. I will be pretty disappointed, but hopefully we can get at least 2 more signings in before this current window does currently show. It's Thursday today. I did initially say early on this week I hope Manchester United can get 2 signings completed and that this week. But yeah, so the main part of this video was to give you the news about Bruno Fernandes. Also give you the news, keep you up to date with Sean Longstaff. Also give you the latest news about Milinkovic, Savic, and all that. So yeah, that's mainly everything to update you today, guys. So we'll be coming up with match reaction after the Man United Tottenham game today. And yeah, so right, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very soon.